What I'm journaling about today is evolution. That's the fundamental force that's driving us. At least that's driving me. And the impact is the measure by which you're contributing to that evolution. And I think you can contribute by building incredible businesses, incredible companies that serve humanity. You can also contribute by sharing your knowledge, making a positive impact to other people around you by, creating permissionless leverage with content, but also just, smiling at people, making people's lives better or days better by just, interacting with them in a positive way and possibly inspiring them, giving them positive feedback. But the ultimate way to contribute is obviously having a family and raising a healthy family, empowering your kids to have high agency, to do whatever they please in the world, not disregarding others, but if they have an idea that they want to bring forth, just giving them that empowerment that they are able to do whatever they put their minds to. Anyways, the thing that I wanted to share is oftentimes with my friends, we have conversations about what is evolution and how do you quantify evolution. The closest thing to quantifying evolution is looking at the collective consciousness, the level of consciousness humanity on average reaches. And basically you can look at it when a low level of consciousness is when you feel a lot of feelings of low vibrational feelings like fear, guilt, doubt, resentment, even anxiety, jealousy, hate. These things are low vibrational things. If you feel those often, there's a lot of work to do. Also primitive feelings like survival oftentimes is very low consciousness. It's the primitive nature of us continuing as a race. If we wouldn't focus on survival, we wouldn't exist, right? But we're so much further than that. We're so much beyond that now it's really about, okay, how much are we calibrating in the low vibrational states compared to the high vibrational states like inspiration, joy, happiness, love, faith, belief, gratitude, these type of things. And when you're feeling confident and joyous and grateful, you're overall a better person. You're treating others better. You're focusing on the things that you're supposed to be focused on. You're just making a positive impact. I think this is the way to quantify consciousness. And if you want to be an impact-driven person or you're inspired by evolution, I think this is the metric that we should be looking at. How do we increase collective consciousness of humanity? That's the question. So we have this conversation whether obviously power is distributed very unevenly. A very small number of people have a large number of power, a large amount of power. And in the capitalistic society, power often comes with money. So if you have a lot of capital, you also have a lot of power. And most likely that private equity firms like BlackRock or Vanguard, they own a large number of S&P 500 businesses or a lot of stakes in these big businesses in the world, especially in the US. Banking system is quite controlled. The large banks have some sort of affiliation together and between these private equity groups. Anyways, all I'm trying to say is that it's a small number of people that have a large amount of power compared to the 7 billion of us that are living on Earth. The question is, are you approaching the situation from top down or bottom up? And some of my friends say that it's top down. So basically just focus on the people at power, and then when you focus on them and elevate their consciousness, they will be less greedy and focus on the collective good instead of their own good more, they will have more empathy, more understanding. Or then the other option is you must elevate the consciousness of the people in like the common folk in a way. And obviously first and foremost being those people who can't focus on anything else but survival. Now we go back to the to the thing that I was journaling about, which is we need to do both. We need to focus on the people at power, but we also need to focus on the common folk. And I think one is going to help the other. So again, capitalistic society is, controlled by money flow. And how money flow goes is like, if we want organic food, we're gonna buy organic food. And we're gonna make that sacrifice on, whether that be more expensive or whether we may have to drive a bit further to go to that store or whatever that sacrifice is. If that's a value for us, we're gonna start doing purchasing decisions based on our values. It's not for anyone else to tell how to make our purchasing decisions, right? But I'm not saying organic food is like the best example, but whatever it is that is like a higher consciousness thing, we're gonna start directing our purchase power towards that. And this is how we're able to, make a difference from the bottom up. And then when there's a large number of people increasing their level of consciousness, it will change the way people think and the way people act and the way people purchase. And then obviously from top down, it's also like, it's things like taxation, things like competition. Like oftentimes the big competition is able to eat the small fish because they can just, discount their products to the point where they eat someone else or they purchase them. So many ways to affect this thing. Super complex topic. Hopefully I was able to articulate it in an easy to understand way, so you understand how what does impact driven mean, what does evolution mean, what does collective consciousness mean, and how can we raise it, and how does that actually mean actual evolution. There's a lot of literature about this if you are interested. I think probably the most interesting one that I found a lot of clarity from was Power versus Force, where this guy is essentially creating levels of consciousness from 0 to around 1,000 or something like that. And then he's like explaining where does each emotion or action or thought calibrate. And as I said, the lower vibrational ones are the negative ones, and then the higher vibrational ones are the positive ones, obviously. Okay, a bit of a ramble. Hopefully this was interesting. Hopefully this was important to you. And I see you in the next video. Bye-bye.